Orlando and the LA Clippers. Tobias Harris won Aaron Gordon. Good start for Orlando. And whenever you get in the open court, DJ Augustine, you know who he's looking for.
You're looking for that guy that jumps to the moon.
Absolutely. Then it's Jonathan Simmons. You know, it's good to see Orlando playing defense than running the floor.
Yes, with all that length they had, they need to be blocking shots like that. Is that Mo Bamba? Oh, no, that was Isaac said, get that shot out of here.
Clippers getting back into it. They're poised. Tobias Harris, one of those poised players, hitting the mid-range. Then Danilo Gallinari, another one of those poised players. 19-4 run for the Clippers.
Amazing when Gallinari stays healthy, how his teams can wind up winning games.
That's right.
Certainly played just 21 games last year, has been around this season. And Aaron Gordon, you know not to jump with him when he's flying through the paint like that. Wise decision.
Yeah, you got to rotate quicker, Chris.
Clippers keeping it going in the second half. There's Tobias getting a touch. Then Montrezl Harrell.
The Energizer Bunny.
Flexes his muscle.
Old school, no?
Yeah, Coach, he's old school.
You love that.
Oh, come on, man. He's not drifting out there to the three-point line.
Then Lou Williams pushing the pace. A lot of Clippers highlights here, and you see that lead escalating. 15 points now, up that count to 17. Tobias Harris, 28 points, 9 rebounds. The Clippers get the win, 106-96. Brooklyn in Chicago. Jared Allen is a guy blossoming in front of our eyes. It's not just that afro. It's the offense and the defense.
Well,
there's the O.
We call it Afro power. Blocking shots, dunking on people. Get that shot out of here, Afro power.
He's earning that reputation on a defensive end.
Listen to me, all the things that Rudy Gobert has done in the previous years to earn his name, he's starting to do the same thing now.
And 19 points.
He's only 20 years old.
Just getting started, Coach.
Yeah.
He's just getting started.
Speaking of which, D'Angelo Russell knocking it down, and DeMarre Carroll doing the same. 20 points
The veteran.
for DeMarre.
The veteran still getting it done.
Shabazz Napier in the fourth quarter. You know, that's a guy with a clutch pedigree.
Yes, good call, Chris.
18 points for him, and we got ourselves a 15-point Brooklyn lead. D'Angelo Russell.
Oh,
28
ice water,
points.
ice water, ice water.
5
ice
assists.
water.
Brooklyn gets the win, 117-100. Look at their record now, 20-21 in contention, competing in the Eastern Conference. Here's D'Angelo Russell following another win. And there's a game we're here to get you ready for. We the North, the Toronto Raptors and the Indiana Pacers, they tip off right here in just a few minutes.
No, I'm still waiting for Golden State to step on the pedal, but they're...
I don't know if it's happening.
I don't know. They've just been treading water, basically.
Yeah.
And I wrote it in power rankings. So if you look at, like, the league average in efficiency is 108.5 points per 100 possessions. So a good game would be to score more efficiently than that and hold your opponents to a number less than that.
Mm-hmm.
The Warriors did that in their last game, but they haven't done that in 2 straight games since early November.
So they're tired.
They haven't put together 2 like quality games in regard to both ends of the floor in almost 2 months.
They look tired. I'm serious. I'm not trying to be funny. They look mentally and emotionally whipped to me when I watch them play sometimes.
I don't know. Like, we're not even halfway into the season though. Like I understand it's been a 4-year run and like it's basically unprecedented. What they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, going to the finals 4 straight years and, you know, coming back and, you know, having the expectations of winning another championship. But, you know, we're not even halfway into the season, you know, yeah.
I know, but shoot, I think back to that Detroit team that went to, 6 straight Eastern Conference final. And by the time their run was up, they looked spent. I don't care who you are, when you play and grind like this, it's just tough, which makes LeBron playing the way he does strange, you know, like the most odd thing I've ever seen. But they look spent, shoot. I'm telling you, I was watching the other night and I'm looking at their body language. I don't even know if they recognize how exhausted they look. Because you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't, when you're tired and, you know, run down, you look in the mirror and you're still, you know, you got your fantasy glasses on. You're looking at yourself saying, I'm fine, everything's great. And then I watch them try and get up and down the floor, and they just look tired. They look like they're going through the motions, not because they want to, but because their bodies are telling them that's the price you pay to win at the level they've won the past 4 years.
I'm trying to think, they haven't really given guys days off, have they? Other than, Curry has been injured and Draymond Green was injured.
Right.
But they haven't started doing, rest days.
They need rest weeks. I think some of their guys need like a week off. Remember LeBron when he just took a week off, went to Miami or whatever a few years ago? Like, I think Steve Kerr should allow, an excused absence for an entire week for some guys, just to let them recharge.
John Schumann, Sekou Smith, always good time with the Hang Time podcast. Tuesdays are for players only. 3D, where you headed this week?
I'll be out to the Bay Area.
Oh, that should be a great one then. Timberwolves and Thunder, they have the early game, and they will have themselves a new head coach, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Thunder also playing tonight against the Washington Wizards.
Ooh.
And Russell Westbrook has been struggling with his shot. PG-13 finds him. They're ahead of Washington in the first quarter. Kyle Lowry back in the lineup for the Toronto Raptors after missing the last 6 games. Kawhi Leonard will not play against the Indiana Pacers, the second night of a back-to-back. That's coming up in just a few minutes right here on NBA TV. But breaking news coming out of Minnesota. Tom Thibodeau reportedly out as the president and head coach of the Timberwolves. According to the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, Ryan Saunders looks like he's in the running to step in as the interim head coach. What do you think of that decision, 3D?
I like it a lot. Obviously, his dad kind of setting the way for him and being around the franchise pretty much his whole life. And I think Coach being young and understanding what Cat and Wig and this young team's about. Derrick Rose is having a phenomenal year, comeback year, so to speak. He's been a part of that movement, working out with him on days off. So the question for me, Coach, is what advice can he reach out to someone like yourself to help him with in-game coaching decisions, things of that nature? But being able to relate to the players, knowing the system, I think he's ready for it.
First of all, we have to realize that they fired one of the top 5 coaches, in my opinion, in the NBA. Mm-hmm. Tom Thibodeau is a teacher. Mm-hmm. He's a game coach. He wins basketball games. So to make that decision, something was going on that we obviously don't know right now. The relationship with Saunders and the owner is the father connection. Flip Saunders was a very, very loyal person to the owner. Mm-hmm. And the owner, I think, always appreciated it, will never forget some of the things that Flip did for him along the way. I know this, Flip made him an awful lot of money at one point on one major decision that he had to make. And the owner, I don't ever think is going to forget that. Right. And as a result, he's seen his son pay the dues. He respects what the son has done, respects the son and father, and therefore he's given him a chance.
Well, according to the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, their source on Ryan Saunders being who Glenn Taylor wants as the head coach long term. So he's hoping that he can earn that spot. But we also have reports from multiple sources that Fred Hoiberg is in consideration for either the GM or the head coaching spot. So we're hearing 2 names out there. It's interesting because Fred Hoiberg was in Chicago following Tom Thibodeau, now could possibly follow him in Minnesota.
And they have Scott Layden still, I believe,
yes, Scott Layden's
still there. And Scott Layden gets along with everyone. Yes. Remember his pedigree, his background, coming out of that San Antonio program, a lot of people were after Scott Layden. So I think I hope Scott Layden's given a chance. If they bring Hoiberg in, can Layden and Hoiberg work together in the front office? Yeah. That'd be something to look at.
Certainly a situation that is just now developing in Minnesota. But as we see this, you see Tom Thibodeau, like you say, a great coach in the league. Why make this move now, at this point in the season?
Well, obviously, we don't know exactly what's going on behind closed doors. But to Coach's point earlier, the way our league is going, Cat has a direct line to the ownership. We know Wiggs just signed his new contract. Most of us around the NBA were saying to ourselves, what's taking this team so long to be further along when you look at Denver and other young teams who are winning and playing top-notch basketball? Lately, they're 5-3, they're playing good. Cat's playing out of his mind. Maybe they wanted to pull the trigger now, Coach, to get ready for maybe some more trades possibly before February.
Certainly an interesting situation that we will keep you updated on as the night progresses. Just finding out about the story in the last couple of minutes. The Raptors and the Pacers going to play right here on NBA TV in the next couple of minutes. Victor Oladipo looking to lead Indiana to their 7th straight win.
An Express halftime report is brought to you by American Express, the official card of the NBA.
Giannis and the Bucks trying to make the Raptors fear the deer. Ahead 2-0 in this series this year. But it's just a 1-point game at the break. In the first game between these two teams this season, Giannis, Kawhi did not play. Second game, both kind of held under the wraps with Kawhi scoring 20, Giannis scoring 18. And in the first half tonight, Giannis with 18, Kawhi with 17. This is what we've been waiting for, these two star players scoring a lot and being effective.
Well, this is definitely what you want. When you have two great players like this, you want to see them put their talents on display. You want it to be a game where both of them shine. And that's what we're getting in the first half. Giannis is playing well, Kawhi's playing well, and it's a treat. And it's one of those things you love to see. Here you have Greek Freak ISO'd one-on-one against Siakam. One-on-one, there's nothing really he can do. Siakam is long and athletic, but the Greek Freak has too much space, too much room down here. Then you see right here, getting out in transition, running, taking his time, and you know he's going to finish strong and finish right at the rim. And now he's showing the diversity in this game because now he's leading the fast break. He sees the lane, attacks that rim. So what I like about these highlights is we're seeing Giannis all over the court doing different things. Right here, this is just a grown man rebound, bully ball right after the dunk, bouncing up. And now you see him initiating the screen, goes straight to the left, gets back to that right hand. Giannis can do it all. He can finish on the break, he can lead the break, he can rebound. And the best thing about him is when he sees an area and he sees space, he attacks it immediately.
And those clips are a really good example of it, but Giannis is the one who's benefiting the most. It's been an assault at the rim for Milwaukee in this first half. 28 points in the paint. They're getting right to the cup. That offensive rebound and putback, there's nobody in the lane 6'10 or bigger. They've taken advantage of the fact that Toronto is playing smaller in the absence of Jonas a little bit here.
When you look at the rebounding numbers, Giannis is out-rebounding Toronto's front line 9-7. Is that something we overlook with his game because we're always talking about the three-point shot or whether or not he's scoring in the paint? But rebounding, at times, he's been dominant. This seems like one of those games with 9 rebounds in the first half.
Yeah, he can be dominant as a rebounder. He's also dominant as a playmaker. I mean, it's what makes him so special. He can literally, every time he steps on the floor, offer the potential for a triple-double, and you can feed off of him if he's not scoring. And one of the big reasons for it is because he's got the ability to grab those rebounds we saw in traffic. He rebounds out of his area. He's not a guy who's a space rebounder. He's just going to be bigger than you, longer than you, and go get one.
And that is a great part of his aspect of his game is because we talk about a lot of guys that are two-way players. He's a three-way player. He can score the basketball, he can defend, and then he can be a monster on the glass. He averages 13 rebounds a game. There's a lot of centers in this league playing 30 minutes or more that don't get that many rebounds. So it just tells you how diverse his game is, how many different ways he can help you win. And that's what winning is all about when we start talking about positionless basketball. When you have a guy that you can say, hey, he might can get you 40 or 50 on a given night, but if he's not scoring, he can help you defensively. Oh, and if he's not doing it defensively, he might get you 17, 18, 20 rebounds. That's what you're looking for in a star player.
So much focus on Kawhi, so much focus on Giannis. Kyle Lowry not in this game, one of your assist leaders in the NBA this year. Fred VanVleet stepping up. Great for the Raptors in the first half, but we saw him down towards the end of the half with an injury. 3 for 3 from outside. If he's not back in the second half or is not fully effective, what do the Raptors do?
Well, they'll probably lean on DeLon Wright, and DeLon Wright's a fine young player in this league, but that's a step down from VanVleet, who I think is probably the best backup point guard in this league, and DeLon is not a natural point guard. He has talent, he has size, he has ability with the ball, but I think Toronto offensively takes a step back if they don't have VanVleet, and on top of that, they already don't have Kyle Lowry, so being down to your third-string point guard normally hurts the offense, and it puts a lot of pressure on guys like Kawhi to try to do even more.
And it really changes the dynamic here because they don't have Kyle. Their closing lineup very often is both Kyle and VanVleet. Yeah. So it's not just that they're going to rely on DeLon, it's that they can't put their best closing lineup on the floor at all.
That's a great point, Griff, and we'll look for that in the closeout of this game to see what lineup they do end up going with. Kawhi Leonard bouncing back after that loss to the Spurs last night. And the Raptors pull it out over the Bucks. Nikola Jokic had himself a game. 39 points, a season high for him. And that's not the best part of his game, Griff. It's the passing. It's the ability to rebound, get the extra shot. I mean, just an impressive overall performance for the Nuggets big man.
One of the plays they showed there was a big-to-big Jokic dropping it down to Miles Plumlee. Because Jokic is their primary playmaker and they don't need to keep a point guard on the floor, they've been able to play big-to-big a lot this year. They can play an enormous lineup out there with Paul Millsap on the court, with Juancho Hernan-Gomez, with Jokic, with Torrey Craig. They've kept a lot of size on the court, so at the end of games, they tend to overwhelm some teams on the defensive side, and they have absolutely picked up what Coach Malone is trying to do.
You said overwhelmed. How about this is an underwhelming ending? Jazz head by 3 final seconds.
What was that?
Reggie Jackson throws the interception.
And Blake is overwhelmingly disappointed.
So is Dwayne Casey.
Wait a minute, how many points were they down?
3.
Okay.
About 10 seconds to go.
Interesting situation.
Blake Griffin, 34 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. Andre Drummond, 15 points, 18 rebounds. And of course, Blake Griffin did not have the ball in his hands, and he's a point forward. That's the guy you want bringing the ball up the court there, right there.
It is, and again, it's another example of how badly they miss Ish Smith. They are absolutely not the same team in any way when Ish is not available to them.
That's extreme talent.
How do you learn how to balance a grill on your mouth?
Hard.
Time to double up on the dinosaurs. Sunday, right here on NBA TV, Toronto Raptors, Indiana Pacers. Game starts at 7:30, but make sure you tune in before that, 7 o'clock for the Auto Trader pregame show. And of course, the dinosaurs playing right now against the Milwaukee Bucks. They're just at the half, 1-point game with Milwaukee on top. And we're just going to circle at points in the paint there, Griff. Okay, because Raptors playing good defense in the paint, but still not able to stop what's happening.
Yeah, and if Milwaukee had not uncharacteristically given away 10 turnovers in that half, they've been so good in terms of ball control. They've been really good in limiting opponents' fast break opportunities, and neither one of those were particularly good in the first half, and they're still in the position they're in. I think this sets up rather well for Milwaukee moving forward, particularly if Van Vliet can't come back.
Yeah, for me, depending on who wins the second half, a lot of it's going to be determined by Van Vliet's health and availability.